Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today's video is going to be a bit of a mishmash of a few things that I wanted to discuss with you. For the main part though, I want to talk about forest garden gifts, or the gifts of a forest garden. So today's video is going to be centered mainly around the idea of a secret garden. As many of you have seen before from me, I discuss the idea of a secret garden quite frequently on my channel because it's my main source of joy in life is to spend time in the garden, as well as fantasize, imagine and dream about my own secret garden someday. So I have some art that I created recently, and this is the doorway to the secret garden, and you have the Trinity represented in here as the triangle. You have the square represented as the masculine, as the four elements, the four corners of the world, and then you have the circle, of course, which acts as like a hobbit hole door. And here you have my favourite combination of colours for flowers. So I named this one the Secret Garden. Love, courage, joy and wisdom are the four keywords that are the main intention behind creating this. Recently I got a message from someone on Instagram called Tyra, and she is writing her dissertation and wanted to ask a few questions to me about what I think of ASMR and how I got started along my journey, and the reason that I want to share these questions and my answers with you is because the questions that Tyra asked were really profound, and they felt like they had a very positive intention behind them. And I always appreciate those types of questions because it just generates more positivity for both parties. She says, "You are very much interested in art, nature and cosmic themes. They are heavily featured in your videos. Why do you enjoy these themes so much? When did you develop such an interest in art and spirituality?" I enjoy art, nature and discussing all things cosmic because it feels like the reason I was put here. And what I mean is that it feels like the reason that my life is the way it is. I can't really say that I control what I'm attracted to, just as many people probably would say the same thing. They don't control the fact that they really want to play music and they're really good at it, for example. So for me, art, nature and spirituality were things that I didn't find out until later that I had a big passion, and my main passion was for those things. It was in my early 20s, and late teens that I found out that I enjoyed these things. So like I say, it feels like the reason that I'm here on this planet is to share my passion for those things and my unique expression of those things, let's say. To share a message with others who are on this same path towards finding out the truth about who we are. Personally, I've never found much else outside of art, nature and spirituality that fascinates me quite as much. My mission is to help others to awaken to their truth also. I feel like being someone that awakens others is one of my main goals in this life. And I didn't even realise that was the form that my channel was taking until I really sat back and thought about what I'm doing with my channel. So, to awaken to their truth, to find their passions in life and to live them to the fullest. If every single person on this planet could find their passion and live it every day, this place would be a wondrous, beautiful, magnificent place, even more so than it is now. It would be incredible. Everyone living out their passions every day. At school, art was always one of my favourite subjects, although I always felt my artistic skills were lacking. And so it was in later years that I really developed in this area. That was right around the time that I started my YouTube channel and I started a Twitch channel. On Twitch I used to draw mandalas for the most part, and then I went on to do abstract art, but that was really where I started to develop my art skills, or at least practice art on the daily, on the weekly, let's say. And that was a huge breakthrough for me. Being able to draw art in front of people live was definitely took a bit of courage, and I'm glad that I chose to do it, because I have a lot more confidence in my art these days in terms of how I feel about it. It's not so much that I try to compare myself against other artists as much these days, but it still happens, of course. We're all human. So as for spirituality, I grew up in an atheist household, but by the time I was 16, I felt very lost in the world, in life in general, and was really searching for something. So after trying to follow Christianity for a year, this was when I joined university, I decided to look elsewhere, and that's when I got more into tarot, into reading tarot, and especially reading esoteric books and listening to spiritual teachers on YouTube. I think one of the first ones I listened to was Bill Hicks and Alan Watts. I used to listen to those a lot. Really resonated with them, but I was still at the very early stages of my spiritual journey yet, so I wasn't talking about it very much as I'm talking about it these days, which helps to bring more of the spiritual knowledge your way, right? Law of attraction. The more you talk about it, the more it brings that sort of good high vibe and energy into your environment. Third question she asked me was, for someone like myself, she says, ASMR massively helps with insomnia, stress and anxiety. Do you ever suffer from any of these issues? As a kid, I used to suffer from insomnia around age 7 to 10, I would say. I used to get these bouts where I would get anxiety over not being able to sleep. And looking back now, I can see that it was general anxiety that I had, and it was coming out in the form of, just before going to bed. And then this anxiety continued to grow into my teens, incredibly so, in a way that I was almost, it felt like crippling anxiety. But I didn't know about anxiety until I was about 18, 19, when I heard the term and I was like, that's what I have anxiety. I didn't even have a label for this in school. I didn't know that anyone would ever feel anything like what I was feeling. I honestly thought I was an alien at school. I was suffering with this condition, let's say anxiety. It's not really a condition, but it's definitely a intense feeling that was constant on the daily, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't even have anyone to talk to about it, so I'm glad that there's a lot more awareness, mental health awareness around that stuff now for younger people. I think it's very important. I teach my students a lot more about emotions and about how to express how you're feeling, and really get to grips with how we can turn negative feelings into positive feelings. It's very important for children to learn about those things, as well as the literacy and all those other things. We need to teach about feelings, and we also need to teach more about creativity. Those are sometimes lost in the school system, I find. Second to last question. She says, how do you feel when you see comments that show gratitude toward your content? Is it especially rewarding when you know that you are helping many dealing with worries and stress? Comments of gratitude on my channel always warm my heart so much. A big part of the reason that I find motivation to keep making videos. They truly are. Your comments, your words of wisdom are a big part of the reason that I find motivation to keep making videos, like I say. But the biggest reward for me is to connect with like-minded people. some of the people that I've been able to connect with through my YouTube channel has opened doors for me that I didn't ever know were possible. So yeah, being able to speak with people, like-minded people that I never would have met otherwise, is what is so amazing about technology, right? So I say that I do feel like I was put on this earth to help awaken others and share my story with those who resonate and have similar stories to mine. It is a wonderful feeling when people message me to tell me how my channel has helped them. It touches my heart to know that even just the smallest little piece of help has been able to be given through what I have to say on my channel. So again, I'm very grateful. Okay, so her last question, which was my particular favourite, was finally, what would you like to be doing in the future? What is your ultimate dream job and why? So this leads into the secret garden piece that I wanted to discuss with you today. So I said my ultimate dream job is unique to me, so I've made this up in my head, so to speak, is unique to me and is what I hope to create for myself someday. Currently I'm working on creating a secret garden, mainly in my head more than anything, like getting everything planned out in my head, how it's gonna look and stuff. But I'm also now that it's coming spring, we're gonna plant our garden and have some flowers and some vegetables maybe, but we might not be staying in this home for very long, so we can't do too much really. We're going to be moving somewhere else, but where I don't know. So this will be a sacred space in nature, this secret garden that we create, or perhaps a studio nearby to this space is where I will do all of my work from home. I already work from home right now. I'm a tutor. I tutor children online, well, some adults too. I tutor them online, and I love my job. I love working from home. I think everybody should have the chance to work from home if they want to. But can you imagine how many... there would be no cars on the road. It would be awesome if everyone worked from home. So yeah, I hope everyone gets the opportunity, especially in this technological age. You know, I think there really is a lot of opportunity out there for many people to work from home, which is awesome in my opinion, because I'm a huge introvert and I love my sacred space more than anything. So yeah, so I love my job, but if I were to really tailor it to my dreams, then it would involve helping children and adults to learn how to meditate. But mainly I'd want to talk about using mindfulness in everyday life. So using positive thinking, affirmations, how to be mindful of the moment. So I would like to teach how to use conscious words and thoughts to create a peaceful and joyous life for themselves. I picture my secret garden as being more like a forest garden in which nature is free to grow as it pleases, but also provides the food, insight and tranquility we could ever need just by spending time in it and appreciating the flora and fauna all around. I will be able to take the resonance of this sacred space that I've built for myself, which will have a high resonance because of all of the nature and the animals and everything that's around, a peaceful, quiet, fingers crossed, a peaceful, quiet area in which I can make my videos, or I can do teaching from, or maybe even I would like to invite people over to the garden. I have a special space for people to come and spend a day, for example, just as like a type of retreat, but more of a class. I'd like to be able to give a class. So whether that's online or whether that's in person, that's what I hope to do someday, is have a class that is for relaxation purely, and discuss different methods and tools that we can get to this space of relaxation, especially pairing it with integrating and communicating with nature, because that to me is the ultimate bliss. from my secret garden where I can share the best that my soul has to offer. I really feel like that's my main goal, is to bring the best of myself to you guys, which is grounded in love and wisdom of whatever wishes to flow through me in the moment. Mainly I see my dream job as a teacher, facilitator, one or the two kind of combined, let's say. Teaching about nature and spiritual philosophies like Druidry, for example, I can highly recommend. But there's lots of other spiritual philosophies that I resonate with too. There's not just one thing that I follow, so to speak. It's a mix of all things that resonate with me, just as it should be, in my opinion. So I wish to be of service to Mother Nature, first and foremost, taking care of her and helping her to grow more, and looking after her plants and animals, and finally bring up a family in better conditions than what our ancestors had to enjoy. I'm very passionate about the idea of bringing children into the world, and I guess making sure to have an already established environment in which they're going to feel safe, and more than safe, they're going to feel connected and grounded. And that's why this secret garden is going to be my main passion in this life, I think. Like I say, ever since reading The Secret Garden by Frances Bennett years ago, I've always gone back to that little fantasy space. And the good thing is that it can be grounded in the real world, and it's what the earth is asking for us. She's asking for more of us to build secret gardens, to build sacred groves, to plant trees, to help her to breathe again, you know. So those were the questions. Whatever you took from that, I hope it was something good. Thank you, Tyra, for asking these questions. So I just want to read 2 quotes to you. The first one is, "The difference between a flower and a weed is a judgment." Very potent quote, and I think it's a really good thing to keep in the back of your mind when you're dealing with all different types of situations in life. One more quote for you is, "One thorn of experience is worth the whole wilderness of warning." And that's by James Russell Lowe. One thorn of experience is worth a whole wilderness of warning. Yes. Recently I went, here's an example for you. I booked me and my partner into treetop trekking, and I was excited about it. I thought it was going to be a really good day, and I didn't really do all that much research, but I think even if, because I know a couple people that have told me they've done it before, and even though they told me that they'd done it and didn't necessarily give me a warning or anything, but just told me about, you know, it's in the treetops, you're climbing, blah 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 blah. That could have never helped me to understand how much that was just not my type of thing. So I went to this treetop trekking, and I started to feel a bit uncomfortable when I had the harness on, because the harness he gave me didn't clip properly, and he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." That was my first worry. Second worry was when I was up in the tall trees and I had to climb across these wooden, they weren't bridges, they were games, they called them. But I was in so much fear and terror over the fact that I might fall, which is kind of ironic, because if I would have fallen from that high, I'm sure I probably wouldn't have been quite as nervous, because the harness would have caught me. But still, I just didn't want to fall. I don't like the feeling of falling. I don't like roller coasters. Clearly I don't like heights, but that's one thing that I didn't know before. I've been in the tallest tower in the world and didn't struggle with having a glass floor beneath my feet, but going treetop trekking, having that experience, definitely found out that I'm afraid of heights, and nobody could have told me that. Nobody could have, no amount of warnings could have prepared me for the feelings and the everlasting memory of that. So after that experience, I know I'm definitely not into treetop trekking. Plus, I don't really like how they dig into the trees. You know, I prefer the trees not to have all these bolts in them, but the main thing is that I was just so afraid to fall. There's these wobbly logs that you have to step on, and they swing, and you have one rope to hold on to, and it's just, if you have vertigo or anything of the kind, it's not gonna be all that fun. But still, it's good to try anything once. So I wanted to share those quotes with you, and here's a little excerpt of Druidry that I read about recently, and it is the gifts of the elements. So in designing a secret garden, it's important to think about where all the elements are going to be placed, and there's many other types of things that are important to think about when designing a secret garden. Maybe I'll get into those in another video, but for today I'll just talk about the elements. So we have the first element, which is earth. This is all to do with rootedness, home and belonging. Being able to find and create a space that is your true home. It feels like home. It has a sense of belonging for you, and you can just rest. Your body can almost melt into the space, and you can meditate and really enjoy the surroundings, is what we're looking for when we're planning our sacred space. It doesn't have to be a garden, it can be indoors. It's whatever works for you. If I had superpowers, I think one of the superpowers that I wish to have is to be able to, mainly is to be invisible and to go wherever I want to go in the world, and go into like cozy nooks of different homes all across the world and see how they've created these homes. Not necessarily to see the people, like I'm not too worried about that, although I do like nice family atmospheres, so if there happened to be a nice family atmosphere in one of the houses, then that would be cool too. But I'm more interested in the architecture and the way that the space has been built and set up, and I just think that would be fascinating to see all of the different houses all over the world and see inside of them, and how everyone's got a slightly different taste, and that would be the way that I would use one of my superpowers if I had them. So next we have water. Water is all about connection, about love, and about depth of feeling. So, as many of you know, you have things like wishing wells, you have bird baths, you have all different types of things you can utilize to create this water. You can have a fountain. With that, you can go to the water in order to feel a depth of, in order to understand the depth of feeling of your being, let's say. So it's about working with more of the emotions, more of the intuitive, emotional body. So you have the outer reflection in the garden of this water, you know, the external representation. And then when you go to this external representation, say it be a fountain, or it be a bird bath, or whatever it is, or maybe a pool, you know, if you're lucky. A natural pool, though, a natural stream of water is the best. You can know what the intention is when you go to this space. The intention is to understand the depth of your feeling, is to connect with love, is to have a deeper connection with yourself and with water, even with life. Then we have air. So air is all about liberation. Air is fascinating. It's, you know, I'm a sun worshipper. I've always been very much drawn in by the heat of the sun. Like, I love summertime. It's my favourite season. I'm very much a heat sun worshipper, but yesterday I stuck my head out the window and I smelled the air, and it overtook me how amazing air is, because it's able to permeate everything. And that's why I think it's tied in with the fifth element, which is ether, which again is the pranic life. It ties in with everything. It's the pranic life force from which all of us are able to breathe and sustain life. So air is elusive, it's fascinating. So it's about liberation, detachment, and detachment in as far as your thoughts, because your thoughts are represented as air. So air is about being able to have detachment from your thoughts, being able to detach from things that would maybe pull us in a bit too much. So just as the water might pull us in that bit too much sometimes, into too much depth of feeling, air can be there to help you to detach, not be always in the empathetic body or in the compassionate body. It's important to have a balance of both. So air doesn't necessarily have to be represented by anything, it permeates all things. Then we have fire. Fire is energy, so having a fire pit, which is what we have in the back there, to transmute anything, to have rituals, to bring energy and passion into your life, is what a fire can represent. Energy, enthusiasm, vitality, awareness, responsibility, and passion. So yeah, I'd say a fire pit is probably your best way to go when it comes to utilising fire in your secret garden space. And the rest, nature will fill in for you. You know, the earth element, that's taken care of when you plant flowers and you plant vegetables and fruit and trees and things that give back to the animals, including the weeds. You know, as we said before, the difference between a flower and a weed is a judgment. So the question I want to leave you guys with today is, what do I need to do in order to feel more of these qualities? So qualities like earth, of rootedness, belonging, qualities like water, of connection, depth of feeling, qualities like liberation, detachment, of air, qualities like energy, enthusiasm, and vitality are from fire. So, what do you need to do in order to feel more of these qualities? And you may already be doing them. So, if the answer is just keep doing what I'm doing, then that's a perfectly okay answer. If there is something that stands out to you though, if one of those qualities that I read out really kind of stood out more than the others, it's probably giving you an inclination of what you could be focusing on right now, even if it's just in your mind as an intention. To focus on vitality, for example. Any of those things. Here is a little elements poem, and this I will leave you with. I arise today through the strength of heaven. I arise today through the strength of heaven, light of the sun, radiance of moon, splendor of fire, speed of lightning, swiftness of wind, depth of sea, stability of earth, firmness of rock.